If you're in the market for a brand new four-door sedan, but you want something that's a little bit larger on the inside with more technology and luxury, but also isn't quite as common as your neighbor's midsize car, you'll be looking at a full-size sedan. However, as you guys know, this particular segment of vehicle has shrank considerably over the years in the wake of SUVs being more popular. However, Toyota is one of the few manufacturers to still play in this space, and the company introduced the all-new Toyota Crown back in 2023. This replaced the flagship Toyota Avalon in Toyota's US lineup. And just like the Avalon, this is a large, full-size sedan that also is actually lifted up slightly with standard hybrid power and also standard all-wheel drive. So as you can see, this week we are testing out the latest Crown. This is a 2025 Crown Nightshade. As you can see, it has a lot of black accents on the outside. It comes standard with the hybrid powertrain underneath with all-wheel drive and up to 42 mpg. So the big question I want to answer, for those of you who are in the market for a new four-door family sedan, but you want something that's a lot more unique versus your neighbor's Camry, how does the latest version of the Toyota Crown stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the unique styling touches of this new Crown Nightshade trim, I thought I'd pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, one of the unique features of the Toyota Crown is every version comes standard with hybrid power. The Nightshade model, however, as you can see, comes standard with the standard engine. This is the company's signature 2.5-liter four-cylinder hooked up with 3 electric motors. Now, if you guys are familiar with the Toyota Powertrain family, you'll know this engine quite well. It also is a unique engine, or at least it shares this engine with the current generation, the new generation Toyota Camry. It combines that 2.5-liter four-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle, part of their dynamic force engine family with direct and port injection. The gas engine on its own delivers around 184 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. The beauty about this powertrain is it has 3 electric motors assisting this gas engine. So there's 2 at the front, and then there's 1 at the rear, a separate electric motor providing electronic on-demand all-wheel drive. That's going to be standard equipment on all versions of the Crown. With the electric motors adding in their power, this has a total of 236 horsepower combined. That's about 4 more horsepower versus what you get in the current 5th generation Camry with all-wheel drive. So the Crown, again, kind of showcases its position in Toyota's sedan lineup. Toyota doesn't offer a combined torque figure. We do know, however, that the gas engine delivers around 163 pound-feet of torque. You can hear the engine just turned on right now. It has a 0.6 kilowatt-hour nickel metal hydride battery that basically provides the juice for the electric motor. This is not a plug-in hybrid, as you guys know. It essentially uses the engine and the brakes to help recharge the battery, but it can drive on electric power alone at low speeds at light throttle applications. Now, it all goes out through an electronic CVT transmission, a continuously variable transmission, and fuel economy for this model is rated at 42 in the city and 41 on the highway, about 41 combined. This has a 14.5-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 550 miles of range on a full tank, which is excellent. That's among the best you're going to find in the full-size sedan segment, which is arguably a very shrinking segment. Toyota doesn't claim or quote a 0 to 60 time. We got 5.2 seconds in the Platinum, which has the hybrid max powertrain with up to 340 horsepower. This is a lot less power, but it's also significantly more fuel efficient. Top speed for this model should be around 120 miles an hour, and as this car sits, it weighs in at just over 4,000 pounds. The hybrid max powertrain in the Platinum is around 300 pounds heavier. This is a couple hundred pounds heavier versus a Toyota Camry. It also is a little bit more thirsty, around 4 mpg, less efficient versus the current generation Camry. But closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling of this Crown. As you guys know, Toyota offers this vehicle in 4 different, or at least at first they only offered 3 trims. There is a new 4th trim for 2025. This is the Nightshade trim level. It's basically based off of the Limited trim. So you start off at the base XLE, the Limited, and then of course the Nightshade, and then there's the top Platinum trim. The Nightshade, however, only comes in 2 colors. This storm cloud gray exterior color and also a black exterior. You can see the front end has the unique headlights for this vehicle. They are the quad beam full LEDs with LED daytime running lights, LED turn signals. They almost kind of remind me of Lexus with their triple beam LED headlights. You can see the front fascia has a slight mail slot opening for a grille. That little light bar over there almost looks like it's a light bar that illuminates, but I don't believe it actually does. But you can see there's the sensors for the radar cruise control. This vehicle does come standard with Toyota's Safety Sense 3.0. The front end almost looks like it has a mask over it, like a nose mask with all the metallic black with this kind of interesting triangular texture in the actual grille. There are some functional openings here. You can hear the engine also shut off. There's some integrated parking sensors. My test car, however, does not have a full 360 camera. That is not available on the Nightshade. It's optional on the limited trim, so kind of keep that in mind. It's also standard on the Platinum trim. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see this vehicle definitely looks very odd proportion-wise for a sedan, and that's because compared to the Avalon and the Camry, the Crown is nearly 5 inches taller in the height. This is built on the TNGA K architecture. It has a 112.2-inch wheelbase. That wheelbase is around an inch longer than the Camry's and an overall length of 196.1. This is literally like the same length as the old Toyota Avalon. It's about 2.5 inches longer than a Camry. They are the same width at around 72.5, but again, like I said, this vehicle is nearly 5 inches taller to kind of give it more headroom space and give it a little bit of a higher driving position. You can see the wheels. These are the unique wheels. On the Nightshade edition, they're kind of like a satin black 21-inch multiple spoke wheel. These essentially are the same wheels design-wise as the Platinum, but they have a matte black finish as opposed to the bicolor look with the machine and black accents. You can see the brakes are just under 13 inches for the front rotors, around 12.5 inches for the rear. You have an all-independent suspension. No adaptive dampers on the trim, on this trim, but it is available on the Platinum grade. This vehicle has around 5.8 inches of ground clearance. There's also some cladding along the side and along the side sill over there to kind of give this thing kind of that lifted SUV-like look. It kind of reminds you of like a Subaru Outback sedan from a couple decades ago. You can see the Nightshade also includes some black painted mirrors. These are power folding with integrated turn signals, black painted door handles, some black along the side sill there. And then you can see the chrome along the window trim is also blacked out. A panoramic glass roof is going to be standard on this trim. Not available on the XLE, but standard on the Limited and Up. That does not open to vent air, but it does have a nice retractable shade on the inside to block out the sun. And then you can see backing away from this vehicle, it certainly looks unique. I mean, this vehicle literally has kind of like Lexus vibes mixed in with some Subaru vibes. It's got these massive wheels on it, but it also has like a lifted look to it. So if you guys dig the design, I think it actually looks pretty good in the Nightshade in this storm cloud color, but I kind of wish Toyota would offer the Nightshade in other colors like white or perhaps even red. I think it would look good with all the black accents, so I don't think that Toyota should limit it to these darker colors. Now looking at the taillight, the rear design, you can see the rear almost has kind of like a duckbill integrated spoiler at the back. You have that signature full LED light bar at the back as well, with an LED turn signal, LED reverse lights, LED brake lights. You can see it boldly spells out Crown at the back. The Nightshade also includes some blacked out badges. You can see that HEV badge is their new Beyond Zero badge. HEV stands for hybrid electric vehicle. It says all-wheel drive, and then there's a limited badge here because remember, this is based off of the limited trim. There's not a single Nightshade badge on this vehicle. But again, that's how you know it's a Nightshade from all the black accents. You can see the rear bumper also has some nice silver painted trim along with some unpainted plastic. There's also some integrated parking sensors, backup camera, of course, no visible exhaust system in this car. And then if you want to look at the cargo space, there's a little button here that opens up the trunk. This is a conventional trunk. If you guys want more practicality, Toyota does offer the Crown Signia, which is kind of like a lifted station wagon, but this sedan offers a decent amount of space at 15.2 cubic feet of storage space. You can see the seats do fold down in a 60/40 manner, which is nice. If you look under the floor here, there is a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-it-flat kit. But overall, again, if you guys require more space, Toyota will happily sell you the wagon-like Toyota Crown Signia. Now moving on to the interior of this 2025 Toyota Crown Nightshade. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see all versions of the Toyota Crown comes with the latest intelligent access key from Toyota. This is part of their smart key access system. You can see there's a Toyota logo on this side. It says Toyota Crown on the back of the fob to let you know you have a special Toyota sedan. There's your usual buttons here for lock, unlock, remote open for the trunk, and panic. Toyota does offer their digital key feature where you can use your smartphone as a key. However, it is not available on this Nightshade edition trim. It's part of a technology package on the Limited, or it's standard on the Platinum grade trim. Now, as you can see, the door handle is a traditional pull style. If I touch this little area here, that will lock the doors. It'll also electrically fold in the mirrors. Toyota does not offer a walkaway lock or unlock feature. I really hope the company will introduce that at some point. Now, touch the back of the handle. You can see that unlocks the door for you. And checking out the interior, I hope you guys like a black interior because this is the only interior color option you can get with the Nightshade package, with either basically the storm cloud gray or a black exterior color. You can see these seats are the Softex faux leatherette material. So this is a fake leather or a vegan leather, but it feels basically just as nice as real leather. It's really soft and cushy. It has a really high quality feel to it. I also like the copper or rose gold accents that you see with the cross stitching and the contrast piping. You can see the seats are also perforated because they are heated and ventilated, and you also have a 12-way power driver's seat with an 8-way power passenger seat. No adjustable lumbar on that seat, but you do have 2-way lumbar on this side, and it also includes 2-person memory. I believe that's actually standard equipment even on the XLE trim, which is a really nice touch. You can see door panel materials. You have a soft touch injection molded plastic on this upper portion with a nice graining material. The leatherette, as you can see on this portion of the door panel, and it's nice and padded here where you rest your elbow. You have some piano black plastic trim with more of those rose gold accents and some kind of rose gold accents for the door handles. These are just plastic, but they have a really nice look to them. The window controls, they are illuminated and they're one touch for all four. Typical high quality Toyota feel, which basically feel like they were lifted out of a Lexus. Down here you can see hard touch plastic with some additional storage. And overall, it makes a pretty decent first impression. Now, stepping inside, the Crown definitely has a slightly higher seating position versus a Camry because it's so high up compared to that vehicle. As I shut the door has a relatively solid sounding thunk. Remember, it's built on the same TNGAK architecture. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see start stop button is about where you'd expect it to be. Push that. It has the typical Toyota chime, and because this is a full series hybrid, there's no traditional starter noise. It just kind of whirs to life. It says ready in the instrument panel. All Crowns come with the fully digital, customizable 12.3-inch instrument cluster, and you also have the 12.3-inch center display, of course, with Toyota's latest audio multimedia interface. This essentially has a feature where it has over-the-air updates. It has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It runs on their latest software, of course, that they introduced a few years ago, and it's a relatively good system, easy to use. Once you kind of get past like how the system works with all the functions to the side here, it's relatively easy to kind of sit in this vehicle and connect to it and just use it for your everyday life. Now, as you can see, my test car doesn't have a heads-up display. That's included when you guys go for the Platinum trim. You can see the steering wheel. This is Toyota's newest steering wheel. The Camry, I think, uses a version of the steering wheel. The Crown has some more of those rose gold accents. It's a 3-spoke wheel. It offers a manual tilt telescoping adjustment with a good amount of adjustability and range. The Platinum will have a power tilt telescoping wheel. No paddles on the wheel. That's what the Platinum trim gives you. The horn, it actually sounds decent, appropriate tone given the size class of this vehicle. This trim also comes with the 11-speaker JBL sound, which has 2 more speakers versus the Camry. It's a decent sounding audio system. You guys are an audiophile, which is nice. You have lots of buttons on the steering wheel for your audio controls for the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 with their adaptive cruise and such like that. And then you can see Toyota gives you a decent volume knob over here, which is great. You have embedded GPS that runs off of the cloud system. And then if you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's the backup camera, which gives you trajectory. It gives you distance markers. It gives you parking sensors and rear cross traffic braking. If you want a 360 camera, that's part of a tech package for $3,500, available on the Limited, but not available on the Nightshade package. So that's kind of a reason why I would choose the Limited over the Nightshade trim. Now you can see you've got dual zone automatic temperature control. You have your heated and cooled seats as a hard button here, along with a heated steering wheel, which I also really like and appreciate. There's a small little, screen over here, and I like how Toyota kind of separates it from the audio system, from the infotainment system. There's a wireless phone charging pad here, of course, and you have some piano black, although it's kind of more of like a grayish plastic that's shiny as well. This is your shifter to control the eCVT. It's the same shifter in a lot of Toyota's other hybrid vehicles. You basically have to go to the left first to go up to go to reverse, and then left and then down to go to drive, kick it down again to go into the engine braking mode, and if you hold it here, it'll put it into the neutral. Your electronic parking brake is here. You have your stability control off switch here. Your drive mode selector is here. Toyota offers a choice between 4. There's an eco, a normal, a sport, and a custom drive mode. Although this vehicle doesn't have adaptive dampers, you can custom tailor the transmission, the powertrain response, of course, the climate control to your liking, which is nice. You can see down here in the cup holder area, it's just kind of like a matte gray plastic, which is nice. A little bit of additional storage. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, and then there's a nice padded center console here with some more leather on this lower portion here where you'd potentially rest your knee against that. You can see opening up the center console, it's a pretty decent size. It actually fits most of my camera equipment in there, which is a nice surprise. It also opens up in both directions, which I really appreciate. This is, again, really padded. The seats are really comfortable and supportive. The heat and cooling function works well. You have an 8-way power on the passenger. Again, like I said, no adjustable lumbar on this side. You can see the glove box is, it goes into the dash. It's a pretty decent size, although it's not the biggest glove box per se versus some competitors. As you can see, the owner's manual barely fits in there. Mirror is auto dimming. Toyota does not offer the digital camera rearview mirror. You have a woven material for the headliner. Again, this is the panoramic glass roof, which is standard on the limited trims and up. There's a big bar here that takes up your view annoyingly, and this also doesn't open up to vent air. It basically just has a power retractable shade. I wish it opened up to vent air. That's something that the Camry gives you, so that's kind of a reason to choose the Camry over the Crown. Hopefully Toyota will fix that at some point in an update. But overall, as you can see, the interior definitely has some nice materials, good build quality, not a single squeak and rattle in this car, but it certainly won't fool you into thinking you're in a Lexus. So that's partly the reason why you still may want to consider a Lexus ES or just wait for the next generation of the Lexus ES. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area and I can show you guys what that space is like. You can see backseat legroom is actually a little bit more than the Camry as expected. You have around just under 39 inches of legroom. That's an inch more versus the latest Camry that I last tested. You can see the door panel has this hard touch injection molded plastic. Back here, it's not quite as nice as the front, but this is nice and padded leather over here where you'd rest your elbows. You have the same rose gold accents here. Window controls, again, one touch for all four, and you also have one level heated seats back here, which is a nice touch. The rear seats themselves, you can see, are covered in the same soft text material, and they are nice and well cushioned, which is a really good feature. And then you can get back here, you can see the space. As I shut the door, this is basically my driving position. There's a ton of foot space underneath the front seats. I can easily stretch out. I can also easily cross my legs and get comfortable back here. There is a hump here for the middle passenger to deal with. You have rear seat air vents. You have two USB-C charging ports, which is nice. You have an armrest that folds down here and gives you, again, two cup holders over here, but not additional storage. There's a little bit of storage in the door pockets. The headroom space, as you can see, I have maybe a solid 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of clearance. This panoramic glass roof does take up room, but this, again, has a really comfortable headrest back here. So if you're looking for, a family sedan that can basically carry your taller friends, the Crown offers a little bit more space than the Toyota Camry, although it's not that much space considering how this vehicle is larger on the outside. So here we are back behind the wheel of the ultra weird, but also ultra unique Toyota Crown. I mean, if you guys are looking for a flagship premium all-wheel drive flagship sedan or big sedan, this is really one of the few vehicles left in town. I mean, I wasn't expecting Toyota to essentially be back in this space when they discontinued the Avalon, but it's still kind of nice to be driving around a vehicle like this. However, unlike the last Crown that we tested, which was the really expensive but also powerful Crown Platinum with its turbo hybrid max powertrain, this model that we're in is the Crown Nightshade, which is built off of the limited trim. It comes standard with the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder with the 3 electric motors, making 236 horsepower. This essentially has 4 more horsepower versus the all-wheel drive powertrain in the Toyota Camry, the newest Camry, hooked up to an eCVT. I love how Toyota makes all-wheel drive standard equipment on every version of the Crown, so that's, again, a really nice touch. Now, I actually never had a chance to 0 to 60 test this model. Toyota doesn't quote a 0 to 60, but when we did our the last Crown, which was the Platinum on this same stretch, we got 5.2 seconds, which is honestly really fast for a vehicle like this. So I'm expecting this car to be noticeably slower, but let's go ahead and see how much slower it actually is. I have the vehicle in its sport setting. We'll go ahead and brake torque it. Traction control is off. Zero to 60 in 6.95 seconds. I mean, 6.95 is perfectly acceptable. It is obviously going to be a little bit slower versus the last Camry that I tested. I think the Camry was around a half a second faster than this. But still, this time is not bad. I mean, this is probably going to be all the acceleration that you're going to ever need. And clearly, if you guys want even more speed, the Crown Platinum will do that. Will shave about 1.5 seconds, or 1.8 seconds off that 0 to 60 time, which is overachieving to say the least. But this powertrain, what I love about Toyota's hybrid system is it's just so smooth. It's so responsive. It's so linear. It just feels like it's the perfect balance between power and efficiency. We'll try another run here. This time we won't brake torque it just to see what we can get consistently. The electric motor just takes off and fills in those gaps, and then the gas engine kicks on to kind of take you further again, or at least higher in speeds, but 7.68 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. So in the real world, you're gonna be getting around low 7-second range, 0 to 60, which is plenty fast for a vehicle like this. I mean, you don't buy this kind of car to go drag racing, but what you do get is a responsive, smooth, economical, very economical hybrid powertrain that comes standard. And that's kind of the beauty about the Crown. It's standard with all-wheel drive as well. Now, in terms of the handling dynamics, this vehicle has a multi-link independent suspension at the back, McPherson strut at the front, 21-inch wheels on this model. The Crown is not supposed to be a sporty vehicle, but it's built on the TNGA-K architecture, which it shares with the Camry. You can tell Toyota has tuned this to be definitely on the softer end. I mean, the steering is a little bit slow reacting, but the body has tons of body roll, but what you do get is a really cushy ride quality. Even though we're on these big 21-inch wheels, I'm surprised at how well Toyota has tuned the ride for this vehicle, especially considering the one that we're driving doesn't have adaptive dampers. You can get adaptive dampers if you guys go all the way up to the Platinum trim. It includes a couple of other niceties, but this, I think, is still going to be the sweet spot. I mean, these seats also are the Softex fake leatherette, but they are extremely comfortable. They feel pretty much as good as leather. Heated and cooled seats are standard on every version of the Crown. Visibility out of this car is also good. I can see out of the front and the sides and the rear quite nicely. That view out of the back is nice because of that big back window. The side mirrors are also large. Toyota's Safety Sense 3.0 is going to be standard equipment on every version of the Crown. You can option in a tech package on the limited trim, or it's standard on the Platinum to get things like front crash traffic alert with braking, traffic jam assist. You can see 236 horsepower isn't quite enough to spin out the tires, but it is certainly enough to get this thing going. You do have to deal with the noise from that from that naturally aspirated engine. That's the one thing about the Platinum with its turbo 2.4. It's a little bit more refined in the sound. That's because it has a traditional 6-speed auto. It has a turbo engine that helps, you know, give it even more power to get it up to speed. This, you can see, just feels a little bit more econo car, but because of those powerful electric motors, it kind of takes off and it feels peppy off the line because of the instantaneous torque that you get from the electric motor side. And then, of course, once you get up to higher speeds, the gas engine's there to kind of feed in more power, because you're going to get the primary propulsion from the gas engine. 184 horsepower comes from just the gas engine. This also has a very small, like 0.6 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's a nickel metal hydride battery pack, so there's no plug-in for this. You just basically let the engine recharge the vehicle, or the brakes, the regen braking will help to recharge the battery as well. I also love how Toyota has tuned the brake pedal in this car. It feels very linear. It feels very natural. It doesn't have that kind of jerky feel like you would get from some hybrid vehicles, or that kind of unrefined feel. But I mean, overall, this vehicle does feel like you're driving a slightly lifted sedan, which is something that I think people would probably like if you guys prefer to drive a conventional sedan, but you also don't want to sit quite as low as a Camry. You do get that feeling in this car, which is nice. In terms of quietness, this is Toyota's flagship sedan, so I'm actually really impressed with how quiet this is in terms of road noise, in terms of wind noise. You do hear, obviously, that engine noise coming in. I've had the vehicle in its sports setting. I'll switch it over into normal. There is no synthetic sound being pumped in, which I appreciate. Instead, what you're just hearing is the actual engine, which, you know, Toyota's hybrid system, their gas engine is a little bit noisier than some of the competitors I've tested in the segment, but it's also very refined, and the transition between EV and gas is very natural. So that's something that I think Toyota has pretty much done a really great job with. The overall seat comfort, like I said, is really good. And then in terms of fuel efficiency, this vehicle is rated to get 42 city, 41 highway, about 41 combined. In my weeks worth of testing, I was averaging just over 40 miles to the gallon. Over 40 miles to the gallon is pretty good. I think you could get a little bit better if you guys drive a little bit more conservatively. This car also has a 14.5 gallon fuel tank. It's a bigger gas tank than a Camry by about 1.5 gallons, so you are going to get about 40 to 50 more miles of range with this car. I was actually getting around 500 miles of range on a full tank on regular fuel, which is very impressive. The driver assistance tech in this car also works pretty well. The car actually has the ability to basically hit the brakes for you, even though I don't have the adaptive cruise on. If it sees that somebody in front of you is hitting the brakes, it will automatically slow down for you. They kind of bring you almost down to a full stop. So lots of impressive tech in this car, lots of great refinement, a comfortable overall feel. Not the sportiest driving vehicle. The Camry XSE is obviously going to drive even sportier than this, but this is certainly not bad. It very much feels like I'm driving a Lexus. The thing is Toyota or Lexus is eventually going to introduce a fully redesigned ES, and the ES is going to be the basis of this vehicle, and it for the most part, this car drives like an ES, although the interior doesn't give me the luxury vibes of an ES. but you also get to sit up a little higher. So it's a weird car. This is definitely a weird car. And for those of you who basically must have a sedan that sits up a little bit higher, but you don't want to drive a Camry, that's what everybody drives, is a Camry. You see Camrys everywhere. The Crown is certainly a much more unique vehicle, but I definitely think that the sweet spot is probably the limited trim. I don't think you really need the Hybrid Max powertrain. It's just a lot more expensive. It's also a lot less fuel efficient because I believe the Hybrid Max, I was getting around 12 mpg less versus this powertrain. So there is a reason to choose this, even though it's a little bit slower, about a second or 2 seconds slower. I think that the speed is going to be just plenty for most people. And you know, for something that stands out, this is definitely going to stand out, especially in a sea of Camry and Accords that you're going to see, you know, all throughout the local roads here in America. Now, one of the unique selling features of the Toyota Crown has to do with its rarity, because if you guys are looking at something like a Toyota Camry, the company consistently does around 300,000 sales in the US every year. For Toyota, the Crown is going to be a lot more rare, and that's because last year in 2023, Toyota only managed to sell around 13,000 units. This year, they are on track to roughly do probably 20 to 25,000 units. So again, this is a vehicle that roughly does about 10% of the total Toyota Camry sales. And after spending a full week with the latest Toyota Crown in the Nightshade trim, I have to say, like when I first tested this vehicle a couple of years ago, this is still a really weird sedan. But if you guys really dig weird cars that stand out, you're gonna find plenty to like with this vehicle, because as you guys saw, it comes standard with hybrid power. That base 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain with 3 electric motors delivers well over 40 mpg if you guys drive efficiently, and it'll also do 0 to 60 in around 7 seconds, which I think is plenty fast for most people. The interior, while it doesn't quite fool you into thinking it's a Lexus, it does have really comfortable seats, high quality materials, solid build quality, a really good infotainment system with Toyota's latest audio multimedia interface. It has slightly more rear seat legroom versus a Camry with some nice features. You do have a little bit more headroom in this car because it sits up so high. Love the fact that it comes standard with all-wheel drive. And the other cool thing about the Crown is it comes incredibly well equipped. I mean, as it should. This is the flagship sedan in the Toyota lineup. Basically, if you guys are looking to buy this vehicle, you're going to start at an XLE trim with all-wheel drive, and the base price for that vehicle is $41,440. That's a vehicle that, again, is supposed to be the base trim, but it comes with features like heated and cooled seats, the fully digital instrument cluster, Toyota's Safety Sense 3.0. It has their hybrid powertrain with all-wheel drive, 42 mpg. There's a lot to like in that base trim. Now, if you guys want to step it up to the limited grade, the limited is going to give you the JBL sound system, the panoramic sunroof, a couple of other features. You can also opt in that tech package. It'll cost you around 45 grand. This Nightshade package is an additional $2,800 on top of the limited, starting at around 48,700, which is still a relatively decent deal. The fully loaded Platinum that I tested a year and a half ago is around $55,000. However, this model here with destination and like 2 accessories on it, stickers for around 50,344. So just over 50 grand. 50 grand for a vehicle that doesn't have a Lexus badge may sound like a little bit of a silly proposition, especially if you guys are also looking at a Camry. You can get into a fully loaded Camry XSE that almost has the same power, slightly better fuel efficiency, is a lot more common, obviously, but the Camry is going to be around $8,000 cheaper. A Lexus ES starts at around $45,000. An ultra luxury ES 300H is around 55 grand. However, the Lexus has less horsepower, and it also isn't available with all-wheel drive and the hybrid powertrain, which Lexus should be fixing when they introduce the next generation ES, potentially for 2026. But overall, if you guys are looking to buy, again, a 4-door sedan with more space, technology, and also is a lot more rare versus all the mid-size cars, this is definitely still worth a look, but just be sure you're okay with paying slightly Lexus elevated pricing for a vehicle that, again, doesn't have that Lexus badge with that dealer service that you get with the luxury brand name, of course. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Toyota Crown and the new Nightshade trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.